Ferrari big investigation claim made after Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton domination. That's the opinion of Sky Sports pundit Karun Chandhok, who believes the Italian team will be disheartened by the result. Mercedes dominated with Valtteri Bottas beating Lewis Hamilton for victory, while Red Bull took third with Max Verstappen. Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc finished 4th and 5th for Ferrari, a disappointing start to the new season. And Chandhok thinks there will be an immediate investigation into what went wrong. He told, Ferrari were the big losers of the weekend. Vettel had no answer to the Mercedes pace early on, and later in the race, his pace completely dropped away with some sort of problem which neither he nor the team had an immediate answer for. Leclerc had a scrappy first race weekend for Ferrari, but his race pace too was disappointing. Bottas managed to pull a gap big enough to come out 6 seconds in front even after his pit stop. There will be a big investigation at Ferrari after that thrashing, and being beaten to a podium by a Red Bull Honda would have only added salt to the wounds. I'm fascinated to see if this form carries on in Bahrain. Don't forget last year that Lewis took pole by 7/10 and should have easily won the race in Australia, but the Ferraris locked out the front row in Bahrain next time out. I don't think it's time to panic yet at Ferrari, but if Mercedes come away from Bahrain and China still with the fastest car, then the alarm bells will be well and truly ringing at Maranello. Chandhok also feels Hamilton had no answer for Bottas even with damage to his car. He explained, on Sunday, once the Finn got in front on the run down to turn 1, he was utterly brilliant. Yes, Mercedes found some damage on Lewis' floor, and at the moment they're unsure when that occurred. Either way, in that opening stint when it's pretty safe to assume Lewis' car was in good shape, his teammate broke out in front and looked to be in complete command. Even without the floor damage, I very much doubt that Lewis would have overtaken Valtteri, although he probably wouldn't have been beaten by over 20 seconds. I'm very pleased for Valtteri. He's had a very tough 2018 and it's fantastic to see a driver bounce back from a tough period with such tenacity. F1 returns with a Bahrain Grand Prix next weekend. Last year Ferrari dominated at the circuit with Vettel picking up the victory, but he may face a tougher task 12 months on. Mercedes will look to further extend their lead, but it will be more difficult for them than in Melbourne. Next news: Ferrari will bounce back from subdued start. Sebastian Vettel has reassured both his Ferrari team and fans that the Scuderia will be able to bounce back from their rather subdued start to the year. At pre-season testing, Ferrari looked to have moved ahead of Mercedes and the rest of the field, with many people assuming that they were the favorites going into Melbourne. However, when it came to qualifying, Vettel's best lap was a huge 7/10 slower than Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Then, on race day, both Vettel and Leclerc finished behind Mercedes, as well as the Honda-powered Red Bull of Max Verstappen in 4th and 5th. I think we have all the tools, all the ingredients that we need, said Vettel. We have a good car, we know it. This weekend we didn't. Overall we're not competitive enough, but we will be back. Last year we left winter testing with problems on the car. It wasn't behaving the way we wanted it, the way it should. This year was the opposite, the car was behaving the way we expected and it felt very good. That's why we came here last year and the balance wasn't right, because we had to cover up. We had a very poor rear end last year and felt we had to trim the car towards understeer a lot. That didn't feel great. We managed for this weekend last year, and the race pace was fine, but we weren't there in qualifying. We got lucky in the race, but I think by Bahrain we had fixed all our issues from winter testing last year in the first race, and that's why I think we all of a sudden unlocked a lot more pace for last year. This year, the problem that we have has nothing to do with what we have seen last year. Still, all the car and all the numbers and so on make sense also this weekend, but clearly we're missing something. Right now, we don't have an answer, but we need to get back, have a good look, and I'm sure we'll find something because we know that the car is better than what we've seen, not just in the race, but the whole weekend. Next news: Hamilton, awesome to see Honda in front-running fight. Five-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton says that it is awesome to see Honda fighting towards the front of the grid in 2019. The Japanese manufacturer is powering Red Bull this season, and secured its first podium of the turbo hybrid their last time out in Australia, as Max Verstappen crossed the line in third place. Hamilton, who was being chased by the Dutchman in the latter stages of the event, is happy to see Honda succeed after a number of painful years with McLaren. "It's great to see the improvement that it's had for the team," said Hamilton. "Obviously they, Red Bull, were with Renault for such a long time, and obviously they were able to pass a Ferrari. I think it's awesome. The Red Bulls are there with us, and I think we're going to have a really, really good battle through the year, I think, between the three of us. I'm sure Ferrari, something's not been right at the weekend, but I'm pretty sure their car is still good. So, I think it's going to be a really interesting season." Hamilton added that Honda reminds him of his hero Ayrton Senna, who was powered by Honda engines during his successful years at McLaren in the late 80s and early 90s. "And I think for Honda, I remember growing up watching Ayrton Senna drive with the Honda, and they were a formidable force back then, and it's great to see them up there." Hamilton also expressed his surprise in one of the Renault engines failing, as Carlos Sainz pulled to the side of the track not long after the start of the race. "It's definitely a surprise to see one of the Renault engines up in flames, but I hope that their reliability maintains, so we can keep the close battle through the year." Next news: Correa lands development role with Alfa Romeo. Juan Manuel Correa has been handed a role as an Alfa Romeo development driver for the 2019 season. Correa will compete in the upcoming FIA Formula 2 Championship this year as part of the Sauber Junior team, racing for Charu's racing system. The 2019 campaign kicks off next weekend in Bahrain, supporting the Formula One Grand Prix. To have received this opportunity, and to be a part of such an iconic team and brand in motorsports, Formula One in particular, is a privilege for any driver, said Correa. "I will do my best to honor the opportunity I have been given and want to thank Fred Vasseur, and the entire Alfa Romeo racing team for having me. I'm excited for what the future has to hold." Correa joins Colombian Tatiana Calderon as an Alfa Romeo development driver for the upcoming year. Alfa Romeo team principal said, "We are happy to announce that Juan Manuel has joined Alfa Romeo Racing. Juan Manuel will be taking on a new challenge with our team as our development driver, and we look forward to further advancing his skills in support of his progress as a racing driver." Next news: Bottas' fastest lap indicates Pirelli progress, Isala. Pirelli's Mario Isala has said that Valtteri Bottas' fastest lap during the recent Australian Grand Prix shows that the F1 tire provider is making the progress it has intended to make this season. Bottas set the fastest lap on the penultimate lap of the race, in an attempt to take a bonus championship point for the lap, a new regulation for 2019. Bottas managed to set a lap time of 1:25.580, resisting pressure from Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton and Red Bull's Max Verstappen, who also pushed to take the point. Isala believes that this shows Pirelli has succeeded in creating a tire that drivers can push on for the entirety of a stint in race conditions. Our aim this year was to provide compounds that enable drivers to push from start to finish of every stint, Isala said. The fact that Bottas set the fastest race lap of Albert Park right at the end of the Grand Prix, in a close fight for the extra point with Verstappen, highlights how this objective has been achieved. Bottas, Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc were also able to extend their first stints on the soft tires, as they did not suffer any dropouts in tire performance, despite these tires also being used in the previous day's qualifying. In recent years, the sudden loss in performance near the end of a projected stint was a subject of criticism with the tires. All three compounds stood up well to the particular demands of Albert Park, and they were all used extensively, Isala added. We saw an interesting variation in strategy, with drivers using different tires for different stint lengths, and for those further down the grid alternative strategies to make their way up the field. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to share and subscribe to your channel to get the latest sports news around the world. Wished health and success. Goodbye.